everyone, this is Dr. Liv with New Insight, and thank you for joining me in another video. The title of today's video is The Psychology of Being a Pick-Me. What do you think of when you hear the term pick-me? How would you define it? Many people would say a pick-me is a person who is desperate or thirsty for attention. The person may talk a certain way, even dress and act a certain way to get looks, likes, compliments, and benefits. And this behavior can apply to both men and women and can also apply to more than intimate relationships. For example, someone could be a pick-me in a work environment. For this conversation, however, I am discussing pick-me behavior in women in dating and relationships. So a few questions. Do you think being a pick-me shows confidence or arrogance? Does a pick-me have boundaries or standards? And do you know a person who's a pick-me? Or have you yourself shown these behaviors? Have you ever met a woman who always seems desperate to be chosen, always trying to prove herself, please, or compete for a man's attention? That's what many call a pick-me. And today, I'm discussing why this happens, what drives this behavior, and how to recognize it. So let's start with the basics of what it means to be a pick-me. Being a pick-me means someone is desperate for attention and validation. They'll compromise boundaries, lower standards, even abandon their own identity or values just to be chosen or to be at the top of a man's list. They feel the need to compete, constantly pleasing, proving, and performing. They may even feel easily threatened by other women, jealous, envious, or insecure because they don't want anyone to outshine them. And at the core of this behavior is their self-esteem and self-worth are tied to being wanted or desired. So why is this? Where does this pick-me mentality come from? Let's look at 8 deeply rooted reasons or the psychology behind pick-me behavior. Number 1, insecurities and low self-esteem. Many women with pick-me behavior only feel beautiful, happy, or desirable when someone else validates them. Flirting, attention, chasing, all feeds their sense of worth, and their mood shifts based on how much attention they're receiving rather than how they genuinely feel about themselves. True confidence, however, isn't built on being pursued. It's built on self-awareness, self-respect, and knowing your value even when no one is watching. Number 2, fear of being alone. This often comes from abandonment issues or codependency. They'd rather be with someone, anyone, than be alone or single. And sometimes that means staying with toxic people just to fill a void. Number 3, anxious attachment. They crave constant reassurance and feel threatened by other relationships in the man's life, including his family, friends, or colleagues. Their happiness depends on the other person's attention. When someone grows up in an environment where love was inconsistent, unpredictable, or conditional, their nervous system learns that connection isn't stable. Affection may come and it may go. Betrayal, abandonment, cheating, or emotional neglect can reinforce this pattern. Number 4, competing for attention. Pick-me behavior often shows up as competition for the man's attention, time, and affection. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not. But the ultimate goal is to be the only one the man wants. Over time, this trauma response can look like clinginess, jealousy, or constant reassurance seeking. But underneath these behaviors is often a younger version of the person who learned that love wasn't secure. Number 5, unhealed trauma. Many women are looking for someone to heal them, validate them, or fill a gap left by past pain. And they're hoping love from someone else will make them feel safe, secure, and whole. Number 6, codependency. Unhealed trauma can lead to anxious attachment and codependency. The woman's moods, happiness, and self-worth are all controlled by how a man treats her. This can come from patterns she learned growing up or from past relationships. For example, if she grew up in an environment where she had to earn love, keep the peace, or take care of emotionally immature adults, she may have learned that her role is to fix, rescue, or sacrifice. Love becomes tied to responsibility, and her value becomes tied to how much she gives. In adulthood, this can show up as overfunctioning in relationships, constantly accommodating, ignoring red flags, minimizing her own needs, or staying in unhealthy dynamics to avoid being alone. She may confuse intensity with intimacy and chaos with passion because calm love feels unfamiliar. Number 7, faulty beliefs about love, dating, and relationships, which can be learned directly or indirectly. Many of these beliefs are passed down intergenerationally, where unhealthy dynamics became familiar, normalized, and rarely questioned. For example, some have been taught that men can't be trusted. Men will lie and cheat, and to just let a man be a man. Therefore, if the woman accepts and believes these narratives, she'll more than likely tolerate toxic behavior. In fact, she may not even perceive the behaviors as being toxic. She may start to believe that she needs someone else to be happy and will compromise her boundaries and settle for less than she deserves. Number 8, ego and emotion. Even if a person is not seeking a monogamous relationship, ego and emotions might foster competition because no one wants to feel inferior or outdone. So the woman with pick-me behavior ends up showcasing her talents, trying to impress, and constantly proving herself. And if you add chemistry, lust, or infatuation into this, these feelings become intensified. In fact, they can feel addictive, and suddenly red flags are ignored, excuses are made, tunnel vision sets in, and often what they feel is love is really just the thrill of being wanted. So now, let's look at some signs of pick-me behavior. They include the following: compromising values or boundaries just to be chosen, constantly seeking validation, competing with other women for attention, staying with someone they know isn't good for them, and letting their self-worth depend on how someone else treats them. If you see these patterns in yourself or someone else, it's an indication that deeper work is needed. Now, pick-me behaviors often come with patterns of disrespect, and these behaviors include the following: ignoring your own needs, for example, skipping plans, changing routines, or always saying yes to the man, even when it inconveniences you. Excusing bad behavior, making excuses for lying, cheating, or disrespect just to stay in the relationship. Changing yourself to fit someone else's needs or preferences. For example, dressing a certain way to get attention or hiding your personality to appeal to him. Shrinking yourself, minimizing your needs, feeling guilty for speaking your mind, setting limits, or expressing your opinions. Playing for a number one spot, wanting to compete for the man's attention to be his number one. This mindset reinforces unhealthy competition, encourages pick-me dynamics, and reduces authentic connection. And overcompensating on social media, for example, posting excessive flirty or attention-seeking content or shading other women online to appear superior. Understand that being a pick-me isn't just about wanting attention. It's a pattern of behavior rooted in insecurity, past trauma, codependency, and faulty beliefs about love and relationships, even one's own self. The truth is that real self-worth comes from within. You don't need someone else to prove your value, chase you, or choose you to have worth, self-love, or self-respect. So the best way to address this behavior is to work on yourself, heal your wounds, build self-love, and set boundaries. Remember that being wanted and desired is good, But being whole on your own and validating from within is on a whole other level. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.